What does depression look like? Depression looks like someone who doesn't like the sound of their own voice. Someone who doesn't like saying their own name. Someone who can't stand and is saddened by the memories that someone has and then discovers that they're theirs. Someone who is depressed questions every thought in their head. They're self-destructive. They sometimes seek to see everything crash so they can finally just shatter. They do things for others because they can't find the energy to do it for themselves. They're professional energy harvesters if they're functioning. Someone who is highly functioning depressed is someone who knows that they have to get a job done and that someone is going to be saddened if they don't get the job done. And so knowing very well what it feels like to be disappointed, let down, sad, angry, the depressed person does everything in their power to make sure that that doesn't happen to somebody else. In the meantime, they're running off of borrowed time, borrowed energy. So a depressed person or depression looks like everyday normal. Depression looks like not being able to handle simple tasks. Simple tasks with several steps overwhelm someone who is depressed. For example, getting a piece of mail into the mailbox. Take several steps. You need an envelope. You need an address. And if that address is not readily available, then there's another step of finding the address. Finding a stamp. Going out into public. Putting the letter in the mail. And if that job doesn't get done, the depression worsens. The self-loathing increases. It continues to spiral. And so depression looks like someone who is fussing over very menial things, very trivial tasks. Because there's a deeper demon that is asking for all of their energy, and what they have to work with is so little that they can't even do simple things without losing it. You know, it's like your cell phone can't turn on the camera function because the battery is too low, but you can text someone. Depression looks like being triggered by unrelated images. Droplets of wine on the floor trigger images of blood, tragic events so far in their past. It's frustrating. Depression is frustrating. It's not staying home and not staying idle, because to be still is one of the scariest things. To drive for the sake of driving, to pace the floor, to push people away, to make people who get close enough to you dislike you, to work extra hard at becoming everything, so no one realizes that you have nothing. And then once you have everything, you can give your everything to the people who depend on you, so they don't end up with nothing as well. An expert energy farmer, harvester, an expert at coping, an expert at numbing. And so I don't know if coping could be seen as a skill. And I think in some senses it is. You know, you cope with something, you find strength, you find the courage to get through something difficult, and you cope with it. But also coping is dealing with something that you shouldn't be dealing with, and you just numb yourself to get through it. So I guess it depends on your definition. But back to the high-functioning, depressed individual will do anything in their power to not be in the same room with themselves. And this may look different for everyone. It means always being busy, pacing the floor. It means reading too many books at once. It means having too many projects going on at once. Being so overwhelmed and distracted to the point of madness. And yet that is preferable over dealing with your own internal landscape. So a depressed person can be an expert in deflecting their own poor behavior, or at least avoiding their own poor behavior by adding on even more bad behaviors. It's all an escape. And I'm going to stop trying to be poetic here. And I'm driving again, obviously. I could have stayed home today. I probably should have. There are projects that need to be done at my house, especially now that it's -2 out. But I'm driving. I'm driving to the office because I can't stay home. I can't stay in my own space. Because I'm disgusted with myself for being so self-destructive, and yet at the same time so incredibly successful, relatively. And so those two people can't sit in the same room together. And I'm tired of it. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to make it better. And I am highly functioning. I am beyond highly functioning. I've been doing this for so long that like I said, I'm an expert. I'm an expert energy farmer and harvester. I can get by on absolutely nothing. I'll never be, and depression looks different for everyone, and I'll never be the kind who stays in bed all day. But I'll be the one that's running and working, and still the same. It's the same. These things look different in everyone. They'll look different in you. They look different in me. But the self-destructive bit, which I'm most concerned about, because I think there is this feeling that, once you destroy the larger demons, maybe, solving a problem, getting a divorce, getting out of a bad relationship. When you seemingly have solved the problem, that the anxiety and depression will go away. It'll start to alleviate. And that's false. It's absolutely false. And it's easy for the outside people who say that they care, or it's just easy for them to hang up their hat and be like, cool, that's finished. And again, it's not about other people. I'm not depending on other people to solve my problems or my anxiety or depression. I'm not asking for that. It's just about awareness. And I guess when I'm talking about other people who would think that, once the larger problem is gone, then the depression or anxiety will begin to dissipate, that thought is in my head. So I'm not casting blame on anyone outside of me. I'm talking to myself, which is the self-destructive behavior. When you think that you should be done with something, be okay, be fine. What's your problem? Why do you keep chasing larger things? And I don't know the answer to that. All I know is that that's what I do, and it's painful. At the same time, it's got rewards, and so it's like, I don't know, running, on the edge of the knife, where if things work out, it's awesome, but there's also that other side. I don't know, bad analogy. Yesterday I hosted almost 800 students for this brilliant show. So many happy people. And I was happy as well. And I felt proud. But then last night I had one of my worst manic nights inside my head that I've had in a while. And it doesn't matter how many successes I have and that I sit with, because at the same time, yesterday was a very successful day with the school time shows. I am just finishing up my contract with Natalie McMaster. And that contract will end tomorrow. And it was so successful. I was able to fill almost every show with a guest piper and a guest drummer. And every other day I have posts on Facebook from the guests themselves saying how much they enjoyed their experience on stage. And for me, there's no better feeling than having affected someone in a positive way. Especially people I haven't even met. I mean, that